Welcome back to Nonsense. I'm Chris, and this is episode 4 in a new series of ridiculously detailed superfan breakdowns of Rick and Morty. This is season 1, episode 4, M. Night Shyamalan's. We open on Rick performing an autopsy on a rat as Morty approaches, and Rick complains about nothing around him being real, including Morty, which we actually learn at the end he was right about, but the well-designed poor coordination makes Rick suspicious, so he follows Morty to school, but not before we see the intentionally terrible Beth meant to be the contrast against Morty's better simulation.
Good morning. I am going to work. Goodbye.
But the weird thing is that Beth acts like a robot, but literally everyone at Morty's school acts real? Dan Harmon, the creator of the show, said in the commentary several times that he didn't love the logic of the episode.
I don't know why we did anything we did on this episode. Why is that guy in the background?
But it's a fan favorite, and I don't think the lack of logic in certain areas takes away from it. They also said about this school scene.
This scene originally was supposed to escalate into an orgy, if you guys remember.
What?
Yeah.
Why didn't it?
The early drafts that got to where Goldenfold was massaging his shoulders,
you're
they were
right.
they were laying a
Why
tarp
did we
down.
change that?
Goldenfold asks Morty for the recipe to concentrate dark matter, though, and Jessica tries to tempt him into sharing the recipe as well. It's just funny that this is all a show for Rick, who is watching all of this before storming in and dragging Morty into the showers and taking their clothes off, since the Zygerians hate nudity. Another funny logic question, though, is if he knows this is all fake, why get in the showers to begin with, especially since they run through town naked later on. But anyways, he tells Morty everything is a simulation, but Morty doesn't believe him, and as they wrestle for his clothes, we get this awesome, incredibly well animated zoom out to the Zygerian ship. We then see the Zygerians avoiding the screens to not see the nudity in the simulation control room, and we meet Prince Nebulon, the primary antagonist played by freaking David Cross, which makes the whole no nudity thing a pun that they somehow never mentioned in the commentary, since in Arrested Development he's famously a never nude. Anyways, here we learn they accidentally abducted Jerry as well, so they lowered the power to a simulation, but he remains oblivious to the incredibly fake world around him. We then get a great transition shot between Jerry and Rick's simulations, but for about 4 frames you can also see some of the aliens using the bathroom. One reading Planet News. Back with Rick though, he's convincing Morty that the world is fake by pointing out the first real oddball details we get. But there's not a lot going on in the background this episode. The stores Jerry drove by were normal, and Morty's school posters were also normal. Nothing out of place or like AI generated sounding, which feels kind of like a missed opportunity. Anyways, an ambulance pulls up saying they need the concentrated dark matter to save the president, who notably is white unlike President Curtis, so that's interesting. But he's not introduced till long after this season, so I doubt it was intentional. But they walk away and we cut to Jerry as he nervously sells his new Apple brand slogan to his bosses, who all just agree with anything he says, so they shake hands and this guy shakes the air. Jerry leaves and calls Beth with the news and rushes home saying he wants to celebrate in bed. We cut back to Rick and fake Morty as they put on a rap concert in which nobody ever raps, but they do break the simulation by specifying actions for the crowd to do. While Jerry gets home and sleeps with a silent, motionless Beth, which is super creepy, but then after going through a world which will always tell him yes, he collapses in on himself like a dying star and starts to call himself a fraud. Rick and fake Morty escape the inner simulation and we get the reveal that this is all part of the aliens' plan. So they follow some extremely convenient signs because Rick wants to steal some CPU crystals before they rush to the escape pods. Meanwhile, Jerry goes back to work and talks himself into getting fired, which is hilarious, obviously. Such a direct joke about the self-destructive tendencies we all have. Harmon kept commenting about how this was based on himself, which makes sense since the goddess character in his new show Crapopolis is literally the goddess of self-destructive behavior. Anyways, after talking himself out of a job, he talks himself back into one and into an award for Apple-based ads. And Rick gets to his fake garage and punches in his safe code, only for the reveal that this is also a simulation, and the aliens pretend they wanted his safe code. So they run for it, and get to some kind of bio-storage facility with a lot of outlines. The only ones I could make out, though, were a giraffe and Big Bird, but that is really funny that they would abduct Big Bird. Rick cuts the gravity and they fly up. We get a perspective shot of a Plutonian, cool reference, and they make it to a tunnel at the top before we cut to the 75th Annual Appley Awards. How Jerry fell for this, I cannot understand. But as he celebrates his fulfilled life, it dematerializes around him, and he falls on his butt before Rick runs through, dragging dragging him along. And I personally think it's during this run that he actually realizes this is also a simulation. That dumb sign he followed in the first simulation didn't tip him off, but the overkill on the escape pod signs here would have made him feel like they were guiding him somewhere. They run through a fake development area, and it's cool, but no details to cover. But they get to the hangar bay and board a ship, kind of funny since they were following escape pod signs the whole time. But another hint that Rick already knows is that he says,
I may need you to work the lasers.
because why would he rely on Jerry instead of Morty ever? That's not something he would do. But they make it out while being chased, and Rick sets fake Morty up to ask for and create the concentrated dark matter. A lot of people think this is the moment he knew,
Concentrated dark matter. Oh, you know how to make it too, right, Rick? Yeah. Check the engine room.
but the creators themselves said while they hadn't explicitly decided when he knew, it had to be before that moment. Anyways, he tells the fake Morty the fake recipe, and the fake reveal happens. Rick putting on a really good show for the aliens that he's upset before they put him in a real escape pod and send him home. We then see them try the recipe only to blow themselves up, which I'll just say, even if it was the real recipe, creating it in a bucket would have killed them anyways. And in the cutscene, Jerry actually gets fired for his ad idea, which is hilarious, and we learned this interesting tidbit from the creator commentary about his boss.
Named Mr. Marklovitz after my friend Tim Marklovitz, who's a teacher. And so all of his students, he can't stop them from going, yes, yes, every time he asks a question.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He does that now?
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
He
that's
has
so
a love-hate
great.
relationship with this.
And then he's got a shotgun, and he's like, in a month, I'm gonna fucking blow my brains out.
Every night he's got it in his mouth.
Better than the school.
God.
Also, Rick traumatizes Morty because he himself is now suffering from simulation-based PTSD. And that's all I got for this episode. It was a little detail shy, but that's okay. This was supposed to come out Tuesday, but I put that Roiland edit out instead because my internet got knocked out by this crazy winter weather. But episode 5 is already scheduled for Tuesday at noon, so don't forget to subscribe, stay safe during this crazy weather, and I'll see you in the next video.